Good evening, folks, or afternoon, or good morning, whatever the case may be. The Bill Crane Report is back on the air again. We have Chris Gleason, and we have Dwayne Weiss with us.
Hi there.
Not to waste any time here, but kick it right off. Dwayne's got a couple of things that he wants to talk about.
Okay. Well, the atmosphere in Washington today, the word impeachment is going to come up. I mean, they can't wait to start impeachment.
It's all over TV.
It's already gone. I found an interesting article in a magazine, and it says how impeachment works. I think a lot of people don't understand really what impeachment is and what it isn't. What are impeachment? How can you be impeached? Well, you get treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Now, that's a catch-all.
It is.
You can just about jaywalk, and somebody translates that into misdemeanors.
Absolutely.
So what happens is that anybody can bring along the charges, but it gives us the House. Impeachment is an offense, whatever the majority of the House represents considers it an offense at any given time, just like we said. And what happens is the first of the House votes with a simple majority for impeachment proceedings. Any member of the House can introduce this resolution. It doesn't have to be anybody special. Anybody can do it.
Okay.
Then it petitions a special prosecutor or the president. If simple majority approves one or more articles of impeachment, the president has been officially impeached.
That's correct.
It's not that when he gets convicted.
That's right.
Just the fact that it started, he is impeached. Then it's up to the Senate to hold a trial. The Senate, they designate certain representatives known as managers. They serve as prosecutor and argue the case for conviction. The president selects lawyers to serve as a defense team. So now it's like a trial. And then the case comes down, and then the Senate decides guilty or not guilty.
Correct.
And it's a simple majority. If he's guilty, he's out of office. He's scot-free. But everybody thinks, well, if he's impeached, then he's thrown out.
Oh.
But he's not. Impeachment simply means charges were brought against him.
Brought up on charges.
Either valid or invalid. So be prepared for that. I think we're going to see a lot of impeachment.
You know, I think so too, but on the other hand, the Democrats are playing Huff and Puff.
Oh, yeah.
Now, even more so. But now they're backing off because we can't wait for the 2018 elections. We're going to blow those damn Republicans out of the water. Now they're looking at their own polling and they're saying, I'm not going to stick my neck out on this impeachment stuff. I'm not going to do this because some of these races are look pretty good for the home team, the Republicans.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be any cakewalk. The Democrats have got way more seats in the Senate to defend than the Republicans do. I don't see the Democrats making any headway. In fact, I can see them losing a couple of seats. The House is a little bit more of a crapshoot because everybody gets elected and reelected every 2 years. But they pull their horns in a little.
Well, you don't want to be the guy that cries wolf in this case, and then it backfires on you.
Yeah, and also interesting in the paper this morning, talking about 2000 and whatever out there, Senator Warren is hiring some powerful political strategists. Now, she's not doing that for her re-election to the Senate.
That woman, she has some aspirations.
Yeah. Testing the waters.
Exactly.
She has all the charm of me.
But getting back to the impeachment for a minute, Trump is not going to bow down to anybody. I wouldn't be surprised if the trial would go on for 3 years if they tried to impeach him.
Oh, it'll be a dogfight. It's going to be definitely a real fight.
He's going to be president for 3 more years anyway, so I don't see how impeachment is going to matter.
I don't quite understand what the Democrats think they have to gain by opposing everything.
Everything, just a matter of course.
Yeah, just pure cussedness. Roadblocks every place, you know? This is a hell of a way to run a country. And, you know, you can throw it right back in their face by saying, so this is how you would run a country if you were president? Just roadblocks everywhere?
Yep.
Well, anyway.
They're just contradiction on everything. Over the weekend, you ever watch the news and you always suspect they were just talking heads, but then they open their mouth and prove it. This weekend, of course, it was the holiday weekend. Maybe they had the second shift on. But I sat there, it was a 6 o'clock news or 6:30, and North Korea had just launched that missile. That man sat there from Channel 4 and with a straight face said, you know, this missile has a cruise range of 39,000 miles. It could reach Alaska. And I said to Monica, I said, how far is Alaska from North Korea? I'm not sure, but I think it's hell of a lot shorter than 39,000 miles.
How many miles around the Earth?
I don't know, about 24, 25.
That's what I learned in school. Anyway. So this thing go around
once and go halfway around again. Yeah. But he sits there and he's reading this stuff, and it never dawns on whoever wrote it or him saying it. But it gets worse.
Oh, good.
The next report was from Ocean City, Maryland. They show this fisherman out in the water, and they show down behind his boat, they're filming this thing, there's a whale shark. It's huge. I mean, this thing is as long as this room. And they said, these things are monsters, but they're harmless mammals. I said, they're not mammals. They're a shark. They're harmless mammals. They're only called whale shark because they're big. Who writes this and who reads this?
They're the biggest fish in the water.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Those fish go, yeah. And they're plankton feeders or filter feeders, so they don't bite anybody or eat anything.
You learn a lot on TV.
Mammals.
You learn
no wonder kids don't know anything.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
they hear this crap.
it's hard to believe.
What channel is this?
4.
You know what has happened is a lot of the script writers have been cut back. Mm-hmm. And they got kids in there doing the job. Oh, why should we pay somebody $75,000 when the kid will work for 30?
Exactly.
Well, look what the kid writes, you know?
Whale shark.
But then again, they have this opinion that our listening audience is stupid anyway, so where's the downside? What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, Governor Christie made the news over the
Yes,
weekend.
he did. Speaking of whale sharks.
Yeah. There's a segue right there.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that New Jersey's got budgetary problems, like a lot of places, and they close the state parks and the beaches and whatever the state amenities are. Well, guess who gets photographed on the beach in a state park and the state beach? Mr. Christie and friends. But he says, well, if you don't like it, too bad. That's the perk of being governor. You live in the mansion, you can use the beach. I said, Governor Christie's problem was he's just in the wrong state. The article was, they have no shame. I said, he just should have been in Massachusetts, where they blatantly say, don't like it, too bad.
Yeah. He's his own worst enemy. I mean, he's a hard-driving guy, a smart guy and all that, but boy, oh boy.
I got one here that we can segue over to you. We talk about immigrants, and they all get this pounded into us. They don't commit any crimes. They're just, for the most part, they're peace-loving.
Peace-loving.
Tax-paying, family, hard-working.
Hard-working, good Chris.
We all remember that character, that despicable character that killed the 2 doctors in Boston. Well, here's an article from the Globe. Man accused of slaying doctor faces arraignment. This young lady that wrote this goes into all the details about him except one. He was an illegal immigrant. And he had been deported prior to this and came back. There is not word one mention of that. I thought that was kind of a omission of great.
It was very selective reporting. That's for bloody well sure. Oh, here it is right here. Stick it
You
up.
got the same thing. I think you got it from a different source, though, didn't you?
Oh, Wilbur, what's going on here? Find it. Ah, there it is. Well, yes, I did. I got it from the Herald, but I got something else.
Okay.
And it's going to tie into something else. Condo Community hit by random, horrible situation. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Selective reading here is not doing well. McAllen residents grieve. Now, this building at 141 Dot Ave is a magnificent building.
Oh, yeah, it looked like it was tremendous.
A beautiful place.
Expensive.
Expensive, yes. And the people in it are grieving over these two wonderful doctors that had their throats slashed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's fine. But the point is that we have crime like this going on in Boston, not every day, but a lot of times. You have home invasions, you have murders, you have shootings. But the rich are upset. And I feel bad for these people, but I have another article.
Now, didn't they think the person who did this was a security guard for the building? Mm-hmm. Which makes it newsworthy, because that's ironic. You would think that a security guard is supposed to be protecting you, and they're attacking you. So it has a little bit different twist.
There is all kinds of twists to this one, yeah. But here you think you're safe because you're in a high-rise, very expensive building. And look what they're doing here at Seaport. A $900 million building is going up, condos. Mm-hmm. What I question is, when are they going to build anything for the middle class or the poor?
There's no profit in it.
No.
Well, there is, but not like this.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be beautiful people moving in.
That's true.
So we'll just let them do whatever it is they're doing, I guess. But we'll build these mega palaces. It's obscene.
That pretty much seems to what Boston's heading towards right now.
Yeah.
Like the construction and all that, the high end.
Yeah, unless you have a average net worth, and I believe in Boston Magazine this month it says the average net worth of a Boston citizen is $247,000. Now, with that said and done, you got to figure that's pretty hard to believe with as many poor people as you have.
Yeah.
But I think what it really points out is the tremendous differential between the rich and the poor.
That's a good point. It's getting worse.
Oh, yeah.
The middle class is shrinking and the two ends are going out away from each other.
Now, did you say net income or net worth?
Yeah, there's a big
Because
difference.
there's a difference. Because
There is. Well, of course there is.
house prices have gone up, so it's created more worth for a lot of people.
Yeah. You know what? I'd have to look at that again, but I think it was net income. I believe it was family income. Which it's kind of almost hard to believe, but
Of course, another thing to take into consideration is what they consider the area of Boston to be, whether you're getting some of the suburbs in there or
yeah. And I wonder too if It's just people that are employed, that people are unemployed and not considered in this.
Retired
or,
and yeah.
Yeah. But there's a tremendous differential between the classes in Boston. This just adds to it.
It might be net income, but simply because this past week in Time, they had an article about young people looking for summer employment. They're not looking anymore. We're very few. It's down to 27%, down from 65% a few years ago. And the kids say, why? I don't want to do it. Daddy makes $250,000 a year, and we make $250,000 a year. I don't have to.
Don't have to.
They're going to pick up everything. I don't have to flip burgers or work in a kitchen someplace washing dishes or something. I don't want to.
Well, you're absolutely right. And I don't know where this is all going to end. I really don't. But you've pretty much eliminated groups of people that just simply can't afford to live in Boston. By the way, speaking of that, there was an ad on one of the sports websites. I think it was WEI.com. I usually go on there for the scores and all that stuff. And they had an ad. Click on this for a virtual tour of some apartments they've built over in Foxborough.
Okay.
Foxborough.
Now, one-bedroom apartments. Now, I'm freewheeling here, but one is like 600 square feet.
Go ahead, I got it.
And the other one is 700 square feet. There's an extra L on it or some damn thing. What do you suppose, and that's all these things are, one-bedrooms.
In Attleboro?
In Foxborough.
In Foxborough.
Would you care to...
Is it new or?
New.
Just a one-bedroom
One
apartment.
bedroom?
Yep, one-bedrooms. Now, there's all kinds of amenities.
Yeah, well,
a pool and all that.
I'm relating to what was a few years ago. Friends of ours from Connecticut's daughter was here, and she was looking for an apartment. You know where the Reserve is there in, I think that might be Foxborough too. Right off Route 1, just beyond the stadium. You'll see it on the right-hand side, a great big complex, a beautiful place.
I think so, yeah.
And they were $1,700, $1,800 already then, a couple of years ago. So she just said I couldn't afford it. So, $2,200, I think would probably be
I'd
close.
go as high as 25.
1995.
1995.
Yeah.
And
Now-
then the thing is, you have to, if it's renting, you have to have a security deposit your first month, your last month.
Yep.
And
And a security.
yeah, so you have to have
First
three
month's,
times.
last month's, yeah.
You have to
3
have
months.
times.
And the first month in advance. So you got to come up with $8,000 to walk in the
$8,000.
door.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah. That's a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
Well,
You know,
I've got-
recently, just
Yeah.
one thing on that. Cambridge
I can't wait to get to this story.
Cambridge was trying to get the approved to host Syrian refugees. When the refugees come in. State Department said no. You know why? The average rent of an apartment is $3,000 a month, and the State Department's picking up the rent. They were sending them to Lowell and
Oh, really?
you know, places like
Some
that.
other hellhole.
Yeah. They said we're not paying $3,000 a month just because it's Cambridge.
That's all boggles my mind. I mean, this is for a man that gets a big deal over scratching a $50 winning ticket.
Oh, I'd be ecstatic.
My thought on that is the two classes are separating because the people in the middle are not getting enough wage, right?
Bingo.
And they're not getting enough wage because they no longer have unions to fight for themselves so that they can have a higher wage. It's not that the money isn't there. The corporations are making tons of money. They're just not paying it back to the employees.
I don't think there's any union member in Boston that's underpaid.
I don't either.
But I wouldn't argue that. But I'm saying the number of unions are smaller.
Yesterday, in the Herald, there was a story about a sergeant.
Oh, I know the guy.
And I'm not sure, as a sergeant or a detective, but he was a detective.
Yep.
Detective sergeant, I think.
You're right.
Now, detective sergeants, I think their scale is probably around $80,000. Guess what he made last year?
Well, he probably got the overtime, right?
Take a guess.
120.
120. 259.
God.
Yeah.
that's a-
So when you tell me these union people are hurting,
But that's not necessarily a problem he created. They didn't hire enough people, so that they didn't have overtime. See, that's what they say. They say, we're going to cut back. We're not going to have so many people, so we don't have to pay so much in salary. But you have to pay those people getting salary overtime to cover the things that you didn't cover because you hired less people.
and believe me, that the police department union is right in bed with the governor and the mayor, and they're saying, don't hire.
Yeah, that union's not going to let you hire those kind of people.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No.
They're not going to take that one, that little Benny away.
Oh, we're losing 600 men to retirement this year? Okay, well, you can hire 600. Don't hire 900.
But the police are a union, right?
Yes, they are.
Absolutely.
And the sergeants, there's a sergeants union, there's an officers union for lieutenants and captains, there's a union for black officers. I mean, you just go on and on and on.
What about the people who are not making the big bucks? They don't have unions. I don't know, I don't recall the story about Walmart, but Walmart isn't unionized, right?
Now you're talking.
And that's one of the biggest employees in the world.
Yeah.
But not in Boston because Mayor Menino wouldn't
didn't
let
like
them come in. There's no Walmarts in Boston.
I know. And very
They wouldn't
few, I
play
think, in
ball
New
with him,
Hampshire.
so he...
That's right. And you're not going to have them in there.
Plus, you remember too. What's the price value of the labor that they're doing? Is it worth $15 an hour for some kid to stand at a cash register at McDonald's? Is the price value relationship there, or pay them $15 towards a union? If you don't, I'm going to close you down. See, you can't. When you start that, now you erode the whole economic base.
So
How
do you get the middle class to have more money then?
Well, you don't hand it to them just because they're not making it.
I think.
You're complaining because we have the low and the high and no middle. The middle has to get some money somehow.
Okay.
How can they do it?
The kids are being sent to college,
Yep.
or they drop out of society, and they come out and say, well, where's my job? $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year. And the building trade says, hey, you want to make 60 or 70? Are you a welder? Oh, I don't want to weld. That's icky.
I get my finger burned.
Yeah, my daddy says I don't have to do that. So they're not being trained for where the jobs are. You know, and I think I said this before, I'll say it again. If we were to start building nuclear power plants in this country, we would have to go to other countries for certified nuclear welders.
Yep.
We don't have any. Because when we stopped building them here, they all went off and did other things. And they can name their own price. And it's the same thing, too, with some of the other electricians and all that in the building trade. These guys make big bucks.
Oh, they do.
Oh, yeah. Well, General Dynamics was worried about that very thing when back in, I'm not sure how long ago it was, when there was a class of submarines that they stopped making. And a lot of these engineers at General Dynamics and the sub base got laid off. Well, a lot of them went to Foxwood and dealing blackjack, and General Dynamics says, this is dangerous because, if this goes on for several years and it starts up again, we don't have an engineering group to come back and build submarines.
By the way, I got to backtrack.
Okay.
Christine, to your earlier point about this guy works hard, or the detective sergeant, working all this overtime, and he has to work hard to accumulate all of that. He's up on charges for falsifying his overtime. inputs, his score sheets that he turns in. So that's how some of them get it.
Well, the other thing is, if they don't earn more money, they have to get concessions from the government, right? So the only way to do that is to tax the rich more and lay off, give the poor less, so that you create a middle.
Well, I don't think we can give the poor a whole heck of a lot less. I mean, there are some abuses in the food stamp program. You know, when you look back in 2008, the catastrophe we had, and the fact that from that point to this point, the food stamp program has over doubled. Well, holy cow, we only got 4.3% unemployment. What the devil are we doing here? Who are we giving these things to? Now, I had a little insight into this because I knew a young lady who was on food stamps. And her and her boyfriend went back to work. So she said, well, we're going to lose our
Benefits.
And something caused her to call the lady from food stamps, the benefit officer, and say, well, we're both working again, and I guess this means we lose our food stamps. No, we can keep you on. Don't worry about that. And she said to me, we're making more than before
Yeah.
we got knocked off, before we lost our jobs. We're making more now. And the lady says to her, don't worry about that. I can take care of that.
Because it's not real money to them.
That's right.
The administrator said,
That's
it's
exactly
government money.
right. That's and
It's just nobody's money. It's just government money.
job security.
Yep.
If we have a pool
That's right.
of 30 million people, then we're not going to get laid
I'm
off.
valued.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I have a couple of exciting stories here.
Okay.
The scales of justice. Here we have a car that skidded off the road in a terrible accident. And the drunken driver had a lizard in her bra.
Was it a pet lizard?
It better have been.
It better been. That's right.
It better have been.
Yeah, she had it in there and went for a wild ride, hit 6 mailboxes, 4 flat tires, no bumpers, and both airbags deployed. The 39-year-old woman was laughing, unsteady on her feet, drooling and slurring her words. She advised the officer that was putting her in the vehicle that she had a bearded dragon lizard in her bra. A female bystander had removed that lizard and placed it in a red bandana for safekeeping.
You know what she should have said? I wasn't driving, the lizard
The
was.
lizard was. Her blood content, alcohol content was twice the legal limit. And she has a long criminal record dating back to the mid-90s for arrests for credit card fraud, larceny, burglaries, and previous drug arrests. Now,
It all comes together in a package. It
does?
frequently does.
now,
Except the lizard part.
with this said and done, and this nutbag causing this accident, what do you suppose the judge ordered for bail? This upstanding citizen.
Well, probably $200.
500.
500. Well,
500 and you can walk.
Yep. $50 from a bondsman.
They also wondering whether or not they should charge her with cruelty to animals. And there's a picture of the little devil.
Oh, isn't he cute?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that's
A play on words with scales.
yeah, that's
right.
exactly right. Yeah, this and well, the fellow that was murdered the two doctors, he admitted to robbing a bank twice, and they knocked the charges down. So he would not get a prison sentence. They knocked it down from 2 counts of unarmed robbery to larceny from a person. Even though he claimed when he went in there, he wanted money, he was going to shoot the place up. You have to assume he's armed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know why? And they gave him recommended his first robbery case be marked guilty filed. And that way, he could keep his green card and stay in the country.
Yep.
He wouldn't be kicked out of the country.
How many times, too, these say, you read the list of previous arrests. Now they probably shot somebody or did something. How in the hell is he on the street? Just from his previous arrests, he should have not seen the daylight.
And by the way, this is also something, you can't take this into consideration when you're looking at this, but how many other things had he done that he never got caught?
That's right.
I wrote down at the bottom, the court system and the legal community did everything they could to avoid deporting this criminal. And what is the result? 2 dead doctors bound with their throats slashed.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job. Criminal system works again. Well, this young man drove 100 miles an hour through downtown Boston, and he had a perfect.
Was he doing a commercial?
Yeah.
He's been released on $10,000 bail. Ordered not to drive and to remain alcohol-free. I don't know who's going to check him. He will be tested for alcohol 3 times a day while the case is pending. I'd like to know who's going to test him. But when he was questioned, they said, had you been drinking? Of course I did. It's St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, of course.
There you go. While being booked, he rambled, worrying about what was going to happen to his car, and repeatedly saying he didn't know what happened. It's not like I'm falling down drunk or anything. I'm not blank up. He has a 6-page driving record.
Oh, yeah.
Going back to 1993, with citations for failure to stop, speeding, suspension for refusing to take a breath test, and prior surchargeable accidents. Now,
They're out there.
he's got a lawyer. Watch him skate on this one.
Well, if he's got the right attorney, he's probably going to skate fairly easily, because these guys that specialize in DUI or DWI, whatever, each state calls it something different.
Yep.
Drunk driving
Yep.
or impaired. The guys that specialize that shop judges. There are certain judges that are very, very lenient, and there are certain judges that are really tough on this.
Hanging judges.
Yeah, there's one in Plymouth County, that is known for, he doesn't believe in DUI charges. So they just shop that judge, and they get the venue changed over there, and their client walks.
Yep. Oh, it's the same thing with a judge that I knew. And I got on this case about the Bartley Fox law.
Oh, the one that we were going to prison for
Yeah.
a year and nobody can get you out.
He said, let me tell you something, in my courthouse that happened. He said, I never had one that wasn't guilty that I didn't sentence for the full year. He said, that didn't happen in my court. And that's the way it should be in all the courts.
Yep.
The law is on the books, but the judge says, I can't, sentence this boy it will ruin his life if he has to go to jail. But how about if the boy pulled the gun out and shot 2 people in a robbery or a drug deal?
Exactly.
It would ruin their lives too, wouldn't it, if they were dead? Interesting here about the CEO of PBS, a charity that the government supports. She makes $900,000 a year. At WGBH in Boston, Channel 2 and 44, Patricia DeStacy Harrison makes $418,574 plus
Yep.
a $100,000 bonus for being a good girl and pass and go and getting her reward.
That's been a criticism of the PBS system for years, that their salaries are way out of line to the private sector.
Yep.
All those donations, how much of that donation is actually going to pay them inflated salaries?
Yep. And all right, this one's called the CEO, and over here they have another CEO at WGBH. He made $625,000. Now Jim Brody is the talking head.
He is a
on
talking
Channel
head.
2. Now, what would you pay him a year?
I wouldn't give Brody $20.
Me too. Yeah.
When he used to be that Megan, what was her name? Margaret Egan in Brody.
Yeah, that was awful.
Oh, it was awful. He was rude, and he would never let her talk, and he'd say, "Oh, you're just stupid," you know. He's a pompous.
She was.
Well, she was, but you know, what the hell? You don't tell her on the radio she is.
Brody is nailing $364,000 a year. Kurga, the head of PBS, all right, she is nearly $900,000. She got $892,972,000. According to the records at the Herald obtained, Weekend Edition host Scott Simon earned $433,000 from WGBH. Morning Edition host Stephen Inskip, $413,000. It just goes on and on and on. And we're paying for this.
Yep. When they go into that they have a decent show, then they got a half an hour of mega begging, I call it. They go on and on and on about call now, make your pledge.
Yeah. I wrote an article when I was doing the newspaper gig, and it was about the talking head newspaper reporters' legs on TV, and they're paid, if they get good legs, they get higher, like Katie Couric. That was a big deal. That's why she got $15 million a year, because of her legs and short skirts. And my retort to that was, give me a woman, or a man, but if it has to be a woman, so be it, that has good diction, a good tone, a pleasant voice, and as far as I'm concerned, she could wear ski pants.
Yeah, I wouldn't care either.
Just put her on there and let her read the news. I don't need her explaining the news to me, and I certainly don't care about her opinions. But give me the raw news. I'm a big boy. I can handle it on some days.
That always irritated me. There would be a press conference, and then the press conference is over, the news has to come in and explain what you just heard.
Yeah.
I just heard it. You don't have to sit there.
What did the president, what was his thought process when he answered that question?
Yeah.
But that's a cheap way to fill time.
Oh, it is.
Of course it is.
And those airheads don't have a lot going on upstairs, too. So they basically regurgitate everything back. Oh, what do you think his motive was for accusing so-and-so of, blah, blah, blah? Oh, man.
Channel 4 can stretch out a news story. Say, a live story, something happens. And sometimes it's a tragedy, but they can stretch that thing for 3 or 4 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And they report this one. Well, what'd you see, Margaret? Well, I don't know. I saw a car go by, and they'll get everybody's got a little different thing. Then they'll come back and repeat it all over again, on and on. You get so tired.
I watch
fatigued.
I watch Fox News, but they're as guilty as anyone else whenever there's a bombing. I mean, if you watch it for 4 hours, you see the same thing 85 times over.
Different times,
Yeah. So just watch it for 15 minutes and shut it off.
Shut it off, because you're going to, I mean, it's going to be repeated over and over.
Yeah. By the way, Kabul suicide kills 90 people in Afghanistan. My only comment to this is, what makes us think that we can win this mess in Afghanistan when the Russians, the Brits, and others have failed?
They've all tried it.
These people would rather die with a gun in their hands than have a peaceful country.
Well, that's the best thing that can happen to them. They're martyrs. When they become martyrdom, they go to heaven or wherever they're going.
Sending 6,000 more troops over there. You know what? If there's an end game and it's a logical solution, I'm all for it.
Yep.
But if there's no end game, if we're just sending more boys over there to die, then the hell with that. I can't buy it. Someone wrote a opinion piece in the Herald, and he said we should be pressuring Pakistan. Pakistan should put the screws to the Taliban. They're supporting them, they're hiding them, and that's who we should be dealing with.
Well, we can't be dealing with everybody.
No, I know. I mean, where does this end? This is madness. Speaking of madness, the Attorney General, Maura Healey, is defending 2 of her assistant attorney generals for covering up evidence against this other drug abuser that was sampling the drugs. It wasn't just Dukan, it was this lady here that was actually cooking crack cocaine while she was working and smoking it. And they had one day when she started off the day smoking crack and took LSD at noontime. I mean, and what happened is a judge is alleging that 2 assistant attorney generals hid evidence, refused to deliver it.
Healey I always called her Croakley, and it's not fair. Well, it is kind of fair. The previous.
Oh, yeah.
I think are the 2 of the weakest attorney generals we've ever had.
Yeah.
They got so involved, and Healey still does, with stuff that's none of her business.
None of her business.
It's a federal program, and Coakley, she used to be always suing the chip maker there, the Intel or
and
Microsoft
this one was
and all that
for some Exxon.
Yeah, for some monopoly thing. Well, that's the federal government's thing, not you. Why are you wasting state money to do this?
There's not enough crime in Massachusetts
That's
to
right.
investigate.
But you know what it is. I'm padding my resume for my career.
I want to be in the paper. Not this kind of story, but I want to be in the paper every day. Yes, indeed. Okay, I got 2 back-to-back here I like.
Okay, go.
Idaho woman says she crashed because she saw Sasquatch.
Well, I'd crash too if I saw Sasquatch.
Yep. Reports the 50-year-old woman was driving south on U.S. Highway 95. There is no 95 in Idaho. I don't know what that's all about. When she
it's U.S. 95. It's not the internet.
Yeah, it's no, it's a U.S. highway. This is going to be wrong because 95 runs Florida
North
to
and
Maine.
south,
Yeah. Anyway, she struck a deer near Potlatch, Idaho. The woman told officials she saw a Sasquatch chasing a deer on the side of the road while driving. She said she checked one of her mirrors to get a second look at the beast, and when she looked up, the deer ran in front of her. Sheriff
Obviously, the deer saw the Sasquatch back there and panicked.
came here and said, "I'll buy the car instead of the
Yeah,
Sasquatch."
you bet.
Sheriff's officials marked the incident as a vehicle versus deer collision, but did not report any evidence of Bigfoot.
I wonder why.
Now, if you say to yourself, how can you top that story?
Oh, I'm sure you can.
Chelsea Clinton brushes off talk of making a run for the White House. Clinton, in an interview with Variety, Clinton, 37, quashed rumors that she might follow in her parents' footsteps, saying, "I clearly do not support the president, and certainly hope he is defeated in the next election, but I don't think I'm the best person for the job." When it comes to understatements, this girl is right in first place, let me tell you. I really am constantly surprised by the stories of me running for, fill in the blank, Congress, Senate, City Council, the presidency. I really find this all rather hysterical because I've been asked this question a lot throughout my life, and the answer has never changed.
Yep. Look how many people in this state think that we have to have a Kennedy. We have to have somebody in Congress, a Kennedy.
Yeah.
It's
And
God's given
now
right.
there are serious stories being written about Carrot Top.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to be the next governor and then president.
Yep.
It's a pattern.
What is the most stressed out state in the Union?
Oh, wait, I did read that too. I can't remember that. I also had the most relaxed state.
Yep, I get the most relaxed too.
Oh, what was that? I don't remember.
Well, this is kind of faceted here, but Alaska was the most stressed out for work, Mississippi for money, District of Columbia for family, and West Virginia for health and safety. Now, what were the states that scored the least? In other words, the most laid back,
Hawaii.
the least stressed out.
Hawaii.
Montana?
You're both wrong. South Dakota.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
For work?
Work because of the oil.
Yep.
The
Wyoming
shield.
for
Yep.
money, North Dakota for family, and Minnesota for health and safety. Other notable findings. Alaska residents work the most hours per week. Utah residents work the least. Highest percentage of people living below the poverty line, Mississippi. Lowest, New Hampshire. Least affordable housing, Hawaii. Most affordable housing, Iowa.
Yep. That makes sense.
Highest percentage of adults in fair or poor health.
Mississippi?
West Virginia.
West Virginia.
That
oh,
makes sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of trickle down from the coal.
Coal miners,
Yep.
everything in black lung and everything else.
Least amount of adults in fair or poor. In other words, the healthiest. New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. Yeah, there's parts of West Virginia that, well, there's parts of Kentucky too, but it's like a third world country. I don't know if
It
you've
is.
ever been down in Appalachia or on that part. Man, it is dirt poor.
Do you know what I was amazed at is making sales calls in West Virginia. And in that far end of Virginia, that wasn't any better either.
Yeah, that's
It
part of
butted
Virginia
right
too,
up
yeah.
against West Virginia. But to see, it's called the Mountain State because you got these undulations caused by the glaciers. And what's interesting is to land at the airport on top of one of these things. You can only go in with a propeller. You can't land a jet in Charleston, West Virginia. But the amazing thing to see up close how these people build houses
Yeah, on the
or
side.
shacks right on the side of the mountain. And then when there's heavy rains and snows, they're all washed away. Then they go back up there and rebuild them again. Now, they can't get insurance, I don't think, unless
doubt
they're
it.
collecting on flood insurance.
Well, flood insurance is prohibitively expensive,
Yeah.
so they don't have that. And the side of the hill's probably got the cheapest.
Oh, it has.
Of course it
it
is.
has. I'm sure that's $1 an acre of land.
It's
Norway is the happiest place on earth.
yep.
Now, do you believe
Oh, wait.
that?
Oh. Norway lost it.
Did they?
Today's paper, they're second now.
Well, I can tell you.
I don't know who upped them, but
I can tell you who was second, third, fourth, and fifth. It was Norway, then Denmark, Iceland, Switzerland, and Finland.
But
Okay.
Norwegians said they were not any less happy by getting down to denigrated to number 2. They're still happy.
So
Now, I can tell you personal experience working for a Swedish company and going over there. Those people drink like fish. I mean, hey, Bill, welcome to my house. Here is the traditional housewarming drink. Okay, now here is the traditional before dinner drink. Okay,
And you don't sip them.
no.
You woof them.
And they are brutally
Oh,
sized.
my God.
Then, Bill, here is the usual before the salad drink. And it goes on like that. After the end of the meal, you pounded about 10 of these things down. You don't know whether you ate the food or the tablecloth or
I know
whatever. But they have the lowest church attendance of any country in Europe, the Swedes. I think it's 95% of the Swedes belong to the Church of Sweden, which you are registered at birth.
Yep.
okay.
And about 5% of the people attend church. And to me, I didn't see any terribly happy Swedes. And I mixed in with the Swedes, the common people, the workers in the factory. I had fun with them. We went out to dinner, not just with the big shots, but we went out with the little shots too, the guys that we interface with. Like, gee, I'll send them a wire. Can you build one of these? And then one of the engineering guys comes back and says, yes, we can. Charge an extra $100.
But I'm mad at Norway anyway.
Really?
I love King Oscar sardines. And they're not
Really?
made in Norway anymore.
What?
They're made in Poland.
Oh, no.
Poland?
Yeah, I
But those countries you mentioned are not at war with anybody,
Right.
and they have
Yeah, they are. That's
they have
true.
health care,
yes. Now,
so they don't have the worries. Maybe that's why
But
there's.
the other side of that coin, however,
Yeah, the
is
taxes are-
these countries have the highest alcoholism rates in the world.
tax
They're
rates.
also up there. I think Poland is up there. Ireland is up there. And Russia
Russia's
is
still
up
got
there.
the very high.
Okay, and they say it's because of the short
The ti-
summer and the long
the daylight
winter.
hours. They don't
Yeah.
have enough daylight
Yeah.
hours, so they're depressed and they're clinically
Now,
depressed.
Yeah, I went over there during the longest day on 6/20, June 20th, and it was light all night. Now, it got like dusk around 1:30 or 2 in the morning because we were still out there drinking. And you had to stay up all night for that. That was another thing they did. But being heavy drinkers and depressed. I don't know how the hell they can be the happiest people in the world, because none of them appeared to be terribly happy to me.
They think they're happy
Pleasant.
because they're so drunk.
Yeah, yeah.
But what are the crime rates in those places?
They're not bad.
Not
They're really pretty reasonable. Yeah, and you're right. They have good health care, and they also have a wonderful retirement. 62, you go out at 85% of your pay.
But you pay for it where you're working. It's
Oh, yes.
50, 60% tax rate on everything.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And they work less hours, too.
They do, 30.
They have more vacations.
Oh, vacations. They have, over in Sweden, like 17 paid holidays, and the newest guy in gets 5 weeks vacation.
Plus, they have maternity care and paternity care. I think paternity, the guys get 6 weeks off.
Yeah, you explain to me what that's all about. That's madness. What the hell is a guy going to do with a little baby?
Support his wife.
She got into that trouble by herself. Let her take care of it by herself.
I don't think so.
Now, I can tell you. I think so. Like the ladies.
So they don't have the worries and concerns that these other countries have.
But they've got the other concerns, and they drink like fish. And again, I missed the happiness. I really did. Very pleasant, very accommodating, almost self-effacing.
They have a government that has a lot of money to spend because, first of all, they've got a defense budget, percentage-wise to the GNP, is minuscule. It's according to us, how much do we send on defense? They don't do that. They have probably half a dozen, well, they not literally, but half a dozen jet fighters, and that's it.
Yeah. But everybody has to go in the service.
That's right.
18 months. And guess what you get to take home?
Yeah.
done.
You're good.
Yeah.
That's right. And do you know what? You have to keep it in operating condition and
That's
clean at all times. But anyway, well, folks, we've come to the end of another fascinating hour, and I haven't gotten to anything. Oh, quickly, 2 more letters from the Boston Globe.
I got them too.
Yep. They're going to keep hammering me, and it ain't going to happen. So look, folks, enjoy the summer. Hope you had a good time watching us bumble and stumble through this stuff. And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.